Post-millennial, EBT of TikTok launches and access clips of SNAP benefits users threatening violence amid government shutdown goes viral. Well, we got it. EBT of TikTok. It looks just like libs of TikTok. And let's just play some of these. I hope they're not really that bad.
And next week, when millions of people are going to have to resort to possibly stealing in order to feed themselves and their families, and the government complains, because they will complain about the crime rate going up, even though they're the ones who fucking did it. Make sure you point your anger at the system and the people at the top, because they're the ones who took the food away from families and poor people and starving children. The poor people just want to eat. They just want to survive like the rest of us.
Lady, you're morbidly obese. What are you talking about? Oh, there's more.
Not only we not getting food stamps for next month, but y'all want us to spend all the money on our cards by the 1st?
Neither of these people need food. Here we go.
I wish I got that because, you know, your friend who said, oh, I wish I got that because I can barely afford to eat XYZ, but her husband makes like $200,000 a year. Or the one who was like, oh, I wish I got that big of a tax return, but we have to pay, but her husband made $200,000 a year. You call her and ask her for groceries.
She can't. She's paying her tax
SNAP
bill.
benefits are getting turned off. Now hear me out. In history, the only time that people have ever stood up against their fascist regimes, against their tyrannical leaders, is when they get hungry.
It's not true.
It's not, right.
It's actually not true. He's right.
Well, to be fair,
it increases the likelihood
Yes,
for
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, Seamus, I think, as everybody knows, the principal driver of the Crusades, for instance, was hunger, and these knights made their way to the Holy Land because they were looking for bread.
And that's why when people say, "Hey, you're Catholic, how do you justify the Crusades?" I go, socioeconomic factors, bro. They're like, it wasn't their fault. No, actually, I say Muslims had invaded 2/3 of the Christian world and it was defensive. But also, which is true, but we'll also add here that when we're talking about like EBT food stamps revolutions, the founding fathers, they only revolted because of the tea. They were going to starve if these were British people. They survived off of tea. That was all they had. So, of course.
This is an interesting clip right here. This is interesting.
Does anybody else think that on October 31st, Trump is going to somehow have found money from somewhere because he moved funds around and they are not going to take SNAP benefits away? So then he come off like this hero and, oh my God, I did it. This is me. You're welcome, everybody.
I predicted this morning because the USDA statement on their website outright says Democrats did this. On the 31st, Trump is going to come out and do a big statement where he's like, we're going to be activating emergency funds because we want to make sure that you get your benefits even though Democrats blocked it.
He's like, but the thing is, RFK is going grocery shopping with each one of you to make sure you don't put anything in your cart.
No sugar.
Only the new Coca-Cola with cane sugar. And not,
this is what happens when you raise an entire generation on the idea that food is a right. That to me, I mean, once again, I don't want to get wonky about it, but food is not a right, right? But so many people have just been taught that the government is supposed to do this. When you're born and it's like your whole family, this is the way. I mean, the entitlement in some of those videos, these women are 400 pounds talking to us about how they need this right to food. Why am I paying for their food?
And it's right next to the discussion about healthcare being a human right, and not to say that the healthcare system in this country isn't an absolute mess, at least as far as insurance goes and all of that, but it's the same thing, right? Nothing that requires the labor of another person can be considered a human right.
And I say this with the delicious, sugary Wawa iced tea sitting right in front of me, half gallon.
And I agree with part of what you're saying, not the other part. This actually might be an area where you and I would agree a little more, but maybe not entirely as well. I do, so like obviously before a certain age, food is a right, but like it's a right you have as a child from your parents, or like if you've married a man, it's a right you have like as a wife from your husband. I do believe these things are rights, but we've gotten confused about who should give them to you, right? Who is supposed to help you meet your rights? And when it's always the government all the time, what happens? Well, now the family's less important and there isn't as much emphasis put on it. And it's almost as if it's very important for the federal government to destroy any competing power structure, including the family.
I agree with that, 100%.
With destroying the family, or with
He wants to. Cliff says he says it right here on Timcast. He wants to destroy the family.
We have created a system by which whole swaths of our society have been from childhood dependent on the government to survive.
Well, and this is so important. One thing that the left is really good at doing is tapping into your moral intuitions with language that actually does, on its face, promote something positive when they're trying to do the opposite. So they'll say something like, we should support our hungry neighbors. Correct. We should support our hungry neighbors. We should not have a massive federal program that redistributes everyone's wealth from all around the country to different parts of the country, and there's no discernment as to who should be receiving the food and who's scamming the system. When these things are done locally, you know who's scamming the system. You know who needs the money. They want to make it as federalized as possible because they don't want those discernment calls being made. Like, they want to be the ones who ultimately hold the strings with respect to who gets fed and who doesn't.
Is the hardest part about this just being that America's the size that it is, so
Yes.
the federal government being the size that it is and the amount of people that it has to help, it's very, very difficult.
You know what's
Yeah,
funny is
that's
like,
exactly it.
what do you call it when there are people who have to work to pay for the lives of people who don't? There's a class
heard a
of
term.
There's a class of people who get portions. So we all work. Our portions of our wealth are then stripped from us and given to a class of people who don't work, so that they can live for free off of us.
Yeah, what's that called? What's it called when when your labor is used by other people
Without your choice.
your consent?
Yeah.
Is there a term for that?
I don't know. I guess not. Maybe it's a new thing we just made up.
Look for it on twistedplots.com.
Go to twistedplots.com. No, I mean, like, there were instances biblically where giving like a fifth or something of your grain was considered slavery. Look, how much are we taxed now? It's like up to 37% if you're in the highest income bracket. And that's just federally. At the lower income brackets, it's 10%. You can give half of your money to the government. And we're like,
it's
that's not
37.5%.
Well, and the real question is, like,
Don't forget your property taxes.
Well, and they,
yes, exactly. The real question is like, all right, if having to give 100% of your labor is slavery, like, where do we draw the line and say that it isn't? Right? At some point, it's just too much. It's unjust.
And depending on how much a person actually works and brings in, like a lot of these people, a lot of the far left, they love the idea of government so much. Maybe not right now, given the fact that they're not in power, but they love the idea of government so much. What they don't understand is the best way for them to increase their ability to make money would be to tax them less, would be for the federal government to not take so much of every paycheck. But they're kind of just, they've accepted that that is their reality. Therefore, they want to get theirs.
I hope on the third. I hope Trump just does nothing. I hope it just expires.
I don't think that's going to happen. I mean,
I know, I agree. Nobody thinks it's going to happen. I was talking to Dave Smith earlier. He's like, no, they're going to do something because it's an economic nuclear bomb. I mean, the system is broken. The debt is way too high. It's going to implode eventually, but nobody wants to be sitting on the throne when it does.
I mean, there's probably lobbyists involved in this right now, given how many of the companies are. Remember when Sodagate was going on, and they were looking at how much like companies like Coca-Cola lobby the government.
Remember when a bunch of conservatives got paid money to promote EBT soda?
Like, this is
exactly
like the
Instead
government
of Twisted
shouldn't
Plots.
the government shouldn't be telling you what you drink.
Yeah.
It was funny how many conservatives were like, they're trying to force us to tell us what we can or can't buy. That's wrong. And it's like, no, they're trying to tell you can't use our money to buy junk food.
And Donald Trump loves Diet Coke.
And they gave these conservatives all got sold out to do it because they're fake activists as it is.
Well,
and then they also promoted India, which was hilarious. What is this?
I remember that. It was
It's like a side quest.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I mean, if next time that happens, I'm blocking every one of those people and banning them from the show.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Like, dude, I'm not interested in fake opinions for cash. We don't allow people to pay to come on this show. People come on the show when they have something to say that's relevant, important, and we want to hear what they have to say. But if there are people who are getting paid and they don't actually believe what they think, and I'm not gonna associate.
Meanwhile, we have guests who have like stepped down from the bench so that they can run for office.
And what does James O'Keefe say? Your price has to be your life. I think that's
right.
It has to be.
He's the man.
Because somebody asked me that once. They said, "Hey, you're doing all this stuff. You're fighting for these campaigns you believe in. What if somebody came in and said, "Hey, we'll give you $1 million. Is it $5 million? Is it $10 million? Is it $20 million?" And O'Keefe was the first one I ever heard answer that. That was like, there is no price. It has to be your life, or you are able to be bought. And that's a big deal. And I think a lot of people that jump into this have no idea, because there have been plenty of opportunities where I'm doing a race and somebody says, hey, what if we paid you guys just to not knock doors? Right? We had a thing in Florida. We were trying to legalize gaming, and the reservations, the Indians would come in and they'd offer to pay the people getting petitions. They would offer hundreds of thousands of dollars, not to work for them, to just go away. Just say, listen, all we need, just pull your people out of the field.
Is that legal?
It is.
On that cause, I have a number you can pay me to not to knock on doors. Like legalizing gaming, I'm not that heavy on. So if they came to me, I'd be like, give me $5 million, you'll never hear from me again.
Right. But I mean that people don't realize when there's this much, when you're talking federal government, when you're talking budgets and you're talking trillions of dollars, the amount of kickbacks and things and the way they leverage people, O'Keefe's right. If your price is something other than your life, you're viable.
Yeah. Well, and this is, I completely agree. And it's important to remember that. And it's also important to remember, I'm just going to throw this out here based on everything we've been seeing with these EBT recipients. Again, there are some people who really need the program. But if you're threatening criminal violence if you don't get it, are you not effectively blackmailing the government?
Just turn it off.
I will commit crimes unless you give me money?
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.